Good evening and welcome to Tuesday Night Luke Live Online. I'm Father James DeLucio. Tonight's pericope, Luke chapter 13, verses 6 through 9, known as the parable of the barren fig tree. And then Jesus told them a parable. There once was a man who had a fig tree planted in his orchard. And when he came in search of fruit upon it, but finding none, he said to the gardener, "For 3 years now I have come in search of fruit on this fig tree, and have found none. Cut it down. Why should it exhaust the soil?" But he said to him in reply, "Sir, leave it for this year also. I will cultivate the ground around it and fertilize it. It may bear fruit in the future. If not, you may cut it down." The conclusion of the parable. A few little notes. First, for too long, this parable was interpreted as God the Father is the man who had the orchard and had the fig tree planted, and Jesus is the gardener who's always appealing on our behalf. Give us more time. Let us be forgiven. Give us an opportunity to die and to rise. However, that is not a good interpretation, because Jesus for us is the full revelation of the invisible God. So we can't have the two of them always at each other and disagreeing. That's not good. And again, when you do have that, then you end up with an angry God and the peaceful Jesus. And it's a terrible, terrible statement on our ancestors in Judaism anyway, because it's not how we know now. It's not how we're supposed to interpret the scriptures. And we also recognize, many things, but it's the totality of the Hebrew scriptures that has a depth revelation of God, not just one passage or another. And besides, they're wrestling with their experience as we continue to wrestle with the experience of the scriptures. So, who's the owner of the vineyard? Of the orchard? Well, there is a long tradition in the church of saying that Satan, the devil, is the owner of this world, in which case the devil would be the owner, and God, through Jesus, is the gardener, who's saying, "Look, you're always accusing everybody. You want damnation for everyone. To hell with you." Therefore, God is ever patient. God gives us every opportunity to change, to transform, to die what is our shadow, to our sin, to harming ourselves, harming others, to come to be about a person who is nurturing and loving and kind, even in the midst of the most difficult situations. So that's a good one. Another would be just simply comparable. The world as it is broken, has evil. Again, God comes into an evil world. So, and with patience and with love and forgiveness. The very last one, well, of course, there's never one last one. Just look at all the volumes of commentary there are. But the last one for tonight, because you're tired, aren't you? Hopefully not tired of me. It's all about me, right? Isn't our lives all about us? To focus again, a third interpretation is that the garden is a symbol of the end times, of the last judgments, and the dynamic that the belief in many world religions, Judaism as well as Christianity, Islam, in many, that there's going to be some ultimate a judgment on the ways of people and the ways of the world. And so that's the given in the ownership of the earth. And we see that God is always on our side. It's interesting because, we have the image of God as the judge, Jesus as the judge, or in some cases, Jesus turns over the judgment to the apostles and the 12 tribes of Israel. So there's some kind of, it's mysterious there. But the point is, whatever the judgment, there's going to be mercy and compassion. And the underside of that is we have to want it. We've had to nurture mercy and compassion in order to recognize it. It is the eternal, perennial gift of God. But if you receive a gift and you don't open it, if you hold something of God that you don't allow yourself to experience in this life, you're not going to know what on earth or in heaven is being offered to you. And that brings us always back down to the dynamic of free will, the mystery that God has given us full free will. The choice of love has to be a complete choice and a willfulness. So I hope I've given you some things to chew on, and that you're not too bored with me, and that you have a good night. God bless. Thanks everyone for joining me. Good night.